Good evening, guys. Hi, welcome to the session. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Deepak, Bantu, Omkar, and everyone. Good evening, guys. Thank you for joining in. I am. I'll quickly introduce myself. I am Sanjeet Rao, and I'm a teammate at Decathlon, and I'm passionate about wildlife. Today, the guest who will be joining us is Aashay Mandreker. He's a wildlife photographer. His work has been recognized by Nat Geo and Wildlife Planet. I'll add Asha in a while. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining. So, this session is going to be really interactive. We will talk a lot about wildlife photography, about wildlife, the big cats, and you'll get to know a lot of information about wildlife. Asha will join us in a moment. We're just waiting for him. Hi, Asha. Good evening.
Hi Sanjeet, good evening. Hi
How are you
guys.
doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. Fantastic. What's up? I can see some really amazing pictures in your background. I mean, were those pictures clicked by you?
Thank you. Yes, these are all clicked by me over a period of time,
You can see
all
all
across.
the big cats. Yeah,
Yes, yes. That's what I basically specialize in, and that's out there on my wall. This is my small office come home office, you can say, amidst the lockdown.
I would definitely would like to work there with that kind of a background. So, Asha, our viewers are really curious because you are a wildlife photographer, but you did start somewhere. So we're really, curious to know about your journey. How did you start as a wildlife photographer? You might have started somewhere. You
Uh,
might be a beginner, newbie. So how did you start?
Sanjeet, am I audible to you? Sorry,
Yeah, you
didn't
are.
lost
You
you.
are. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, it goes long back, Sanjeet. It wasn't ever planned that I would become a wildlife photographer. I never had a vision like uh, a lot of people do that, yes, this is what I want to pursue and this is what I want to do. But of course, it happened over a period of time. I was always inclined towards wildlife and nature growing up. You must be knowing I'm born and brought up in Goa. Later on, I moved to Mumbai. So living in Goa gave me a lot of good connect with nature and a
Right.
lot of local wildlife, which I was introduced way back when I was quite young. So I guess that helped me a lot to connect with nature. But like I said, there was no sense of direction. There was nothing. There was not even a camera in my hand. So that began, and that happened much later, much later. To keep it short, I think the first time that I took a wildlife trip, that was way back, almost 10 years back in Ranthambore. And surprisingly, I didn't have anything planned. So I didn't even have a gypsy safari, nothing. So I was sharing my Jeep with some people, and there was one uh, guy with a nice camera and lens and stuff. And he seemed like a photographer, but I didn't know what it was and who he was. But I got to know him. A lot of conversations happened in that particular trip, and I got to know so much about cameras, equipments, and I remember I'd gone with a small digicam which it didn't even click properly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that was the first time I ever spotted a tiger in the wild, which changed everything. You know, seeing that animal out in the wild, the beauty of it, and everything mesmerized me. And I think, yeah, that was the beginning of the journey. From there, I started learning. I started to get to know things. I started learning about wildlife, about animals, much before I started learning about cameras and photography. And I
Correct.
think that was the path that took me towards wildlife photography. And here we are, almost 10 years later.
That's great. I've been following your work lately, and I've seen one of the pictures where you clicked a Black Panther. Was it a Black Panther? No, or a Black Jaguar? Yeah, it was a Black Jaguar that you had clicked in Goa. One of your
No,
pictures.
that was actually a camera trap which was shared by
Oh,
the forest officials in Goa. Yes, that
okay,
was
okay.
I actually shared that. That was the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
sighting of a Black Panther
Black Panther, yes.
in Goa, which is a big thing. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure you might have been on a lot of expeditions uh, in India, and I'm sure might have gone to Masai Mara also.
Yes.
What has been your most beautiful experience uh, till date? I mean, in your wildlife career.
See, every time we go out, every time, especially I go out in the wild, there are absolutely beautiful moments that happen and we capture. But of course, one incident that happened to me in Masai Mara almost 4 5 years back was when there's a very famous cheetah out there. She's called Malaika, and we were trying to look for her for a couple of days and we couldn't find her. We couldn't find any cheetah for that instance in that whole safari, in the whole trip. And when we got to know that, she's around and we were tracing her the entire day. And when we found her, I was lucky enough that that cheetah, Malaika, actually walked up to us, to the Jeep, and onto my Jeep for at least half an hour. And she was sitting right there for half an hour, and it was an open jeep, and it I think that was the most beautiful moment that I've ever had. Those 30 minutes was special, absolutely special.
Yeah, I mean, I can
That's
totally
something
relate
I
to it.
can't.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to it because I remember one of my instances where I was in Jaisalmer and I'd seen a deer on a sand dune and it was sunset. It was one of the most
Wow.
beautiful experiences I had. I mean, I didn't have a camera to capture that moment, but I'm sure it wouldn't have done justice to what my eyes could see.
Wow, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Of course,
So,
I think no picture, no camera can just do justice to what you see out there in nature. Absolutely.
Asha, if I want to explore wildlife in India, what are the best places I can really go to? I mean, I'm sure there are a few places in the country. We have a good flora and fauna around. So, what do you think? What do you suggest?
Definitely, I think India is blessed with amazing flora and fauna. They have immense and tremendous number of national parks, tiger reserves, and sanctuaries spread all across. If you ask me my personal favorite, um I think my most favorite would be Ranthambore, because, like I mentioned earlier, my journey started from Ranthambore. And if you have visited Ranthambore, if you've seen the pictures of Ranthambore, it's absolutely beautiful. The topography, everything, the fort inside, the lakes inside, it's beautiful. And actually it changes colors. In summers it's totally grays, and in monsoons it's green. So it's a beautiful forest. And of course, you can see your favorite tigers out there. Apart from that, I think Kana and Bandhavgarh are my second most favorite places.
Correct.
Of course, beautiful places, central India. Best time to visit again would be in summers, peak summers. Again, if you're into photography, if you're into professional photography, and if you want to capture the big cats, that's that peak time that you be there. Apart from that, I think the third one would be, I think, Kaziranga. Not a lot of people go there, but again, it's a beautiful, beautiful forest. Again, we have the beautiful single-horned Indian rhino out there with tigers and elephants. So yeah, so these three, I think Kana Bandhavgarh, Kaziranga, and to top it all, Ranthambore.
Yeah. So, Ashay, it is very difficult to spot these big cats, particularly tigers,
Hmm.
because they have a particular season. They go in hibernation, and sometimes uh, you know uh, it is a season that you cannot spot them. It said that it's based on your luck that you get to spot a tiger. So how do you think about it? Like, how did you find your time, or is it you had to go for multiple safaris on a gypsy to spot a tiger? How did it go for you?
See, absolutely, because you know, it's like looking for a pin in a haystack.
Yeah, yeah,
You have such beautiful dense forests and tigers. It's an elusive cat. It's not out there. But again, you need to know when you want to go there. I mean, if you go in summers, since the water levels are very less in deep forests, most of the tigers and the cats and all the animals that you want to, see in that particular forest will come to all the water holes which are nearby. So tigers will not venture out deep inside. Rather, they'll
Okay.
stay close to water holes because they do need water at very regular intervals. So that makes it very easy to spot tigers in summers. Again, the grasses are pretty short because of the heat. They're not as tall as they're as tall and dense as in monsoons. So,
Yeah.
even if tiger is around, it's easy to spot him. It's easy to trace a tiger, but it becomes difficult in the month of monsoons or late early winters, like November, December. So if somebody wants to go out looking specially for tigers, I think choose a time during summers, especially post January.
Okay.
So February to April, May is a very good time to go out and spot the big cats in national parks in India. Guaranteed you will see good sightings because, uh, like I said, they will be there or they will come in and around the waterhole. So it's not as difficult like in the other season.
So
So summers it is
yeah, let's talk about the
if you can
gear.
cope up with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the gear. I mean, I'm sure when you started wildlife photography, the accessibility to all the gears would not have been that easy. But now it is. So what do you think? I'm a beginner, so I'm sure a lot of viewers who are beginners who are inclined towards wildlife photography. So what do you think? What do you recommend? What kind of gear they should go for?
Absolutely. When I started photography, finding stuff was very difficult. To begin with, a small thing like camo clothing, 10 years back to find it was, you know, a task. You had to look around for camo clothing, the shoes that we need. Again, it was not that easy the way it is right now. If even Decathlon has made it so comfortable and easy to find, you can just order it online. It's delivered to your doorstep. This didn't happen way back. Again, with camera equipments, right now you have all the possible lenses and camera equipment that you can probably rent or just take along with you and return once your journey is over. So yeah, things have become easy, and I think Decathlon again has played a very big part in doing that, especially in India.
Thank you.
So yeah, so all the beginners, this is the place you can find it. Whatever you want, there's one stop for everything. That's
So
made my life easy.
yeah.
So yeah.
So, what do you think? Is it the gear that makes a lot of difference, or is it the passion or the zeal that I'm sure you might have seen a good number of pictures that have been clicked just through a phone, but it looks like some professional has clicked that picture. So, what do you think? It's the zeal or it's the gear? What is really important?
I would never say gear or equipment. Equipment would be the right word. Equipment is not the thing that makes you a photographer. It's not the make or break. Definitely no. Again, it's your skill, it's your passion, and most importantly, it's your knowledge about your subject. In wildlife photography, if you do not know your subject, there is no way you can go out and click beautiful pictures. Trust me, it's impossible. To get
Yeah,
the pictures that you always wanted, you have to know a particular animal or a subject that you're going out for. Again, equipment, yes, they do play a role, but trust me, any basic camera, any basic lens will give you absolutely amazing pictures as long as you know what you're clicking. Know what you want, have the passion, follow your passion, know about your subject, and trust me, you'll have the best pictures that you've always dreamt of.
yeah, because we've
So
we've
I,
seen particularly let's talk about fitness when it's January, everyone just keeps buying fitness gear because of their
yeah,
resolution, but in reality they're not really passionate about it just because they're following the masses. So I think the message here would be not to follow the masses and follow your passion.
absolutely, absolutely. You can't just become a wildlife photographer because the whole world is clicking pictures of the wildlife and want to become a wildlife
I hope you
photographer.
got your answer, Priyanka. Priyanka had asked a similar question. I think you've got your answer for your question about the gear. So, Nick, when you travel, it is always recommended to pack light, to travel light. What are the five things that you carry in your backpack? I'm sure apart from your camera.
Five things. Wow, that's a tough one. Let's see, five things. If you ask me, most important would be binoculars. I never go out without my binoculars.
Okay.
Second thing would be a sunscreen and a hat. You always need it. Always pack it, no matter which terrain, which area you're going in, or which weather conditions you are in. Third thing I think would be sunglasses.
Yeah.
Fourth would be comfortable clothing, especially camo clothing, and clothing according to the weather and the terrain you're going to. Make sure you
True.
do your research, where you're going, where you're heading, how the weather is, and pack accordingly. Don't pack too much. Pack what you want, head out. And the last thing, of course, can't forget the camera gear. Can't do anything without it. So yeah.
Yes, sure. Camera is very important. I'm sure so many guys have. I'm sure you have inspired today on our viewers. But what would a piece of advice be for the beginners who have just started wildlife photography?
Uh, my tip of advice would be, like I said again earlier, get your three things right. Make sure you have enough knowledge. Study as much as you can. You have internet, you have books. Spend a lot of time with the guides and naturalists where you head out with.
Yeah.
The knowledge and experience that these guys have, none of us can ever have because they do it day in, day out. So when you're out doing your safaris, whatever, spending time with your friends, make sure end of the day, sit with your naturalist guide, have a dinner, have a drink, do what you want to do, spend some time, listen to the stories and the information that they have to share because that's something, that's gold. You will not find it in any books or internet. So yeah, learn about your subject, learn about wildlife, about nature, have passion, be passionate about what you're doing. Don't just be a wildlife photographer because somebody else is a wildlife photographer. Just if you have it in you, it will show and make sure you pursue it.
Yeah.
And third thing, I would say patience. Wildlife photography requires a lot of patience. You can go out there every day, doing the same thing, still you know, to get that right frame, the right picture, the right content that you want will take time. So don't give up. Give it time as long as it takes. Trust me, even if you have the best camera equipment, the best of everything, the best the money can buy, you will not become the best wildlife photographer if you don't spend time there. You have to give it time. It does take a lot of time. And trust me, if you give it time, you will have that one shot that you've always dreamt of. So
I think,
patience,
yeah,
knowledge, and passion.
the two P's that I'll take away from this is patience and passion. I'm sure
Absolutely.
a lot of people, if you want, they want to achieve anything in life, patience and passion is what they really need, and I think that's what gonna push them to their boundaries and achieve better. And
Absolutely.
right now we are in the middle of a pandemic. The
Yeah.
situation is precarious. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow is going to be. So, how do you think this current scenario has affected wildlife tourism? I'm sure it has had its positive effects on our ecosystem. But what do you think its effects was on wildlife tourism?
Positive effects, yes, absolutely. A lot of them. But in terms of, if you see in wildlife tourism, everything has come to a standstill. Not so much outside India, but in India, because if you know, most of the parks open after monsoons, that's close to November, and
Yeah.
shut by April, May, maximum June. If you go up north, it's June. But so what I think the government is taking a stand and trying to keep the national parks shut this entire season. So all of you enthusiasts, I think you guys have to wait for the next season to get out there. But of course, it'll be fine. It's just a matter of time. Let's just take it as the world is healing itself. So let's
Yeah.
give it time. Let's give it some good amount of time. Anyways, if you're traveling outside India, I think it should be fine post July, August. A lot of my safaris are planned in the month of August end and September. So keeping my fingers crossed, let's see how it goes. But as far as in India, I don't think the parks would be reopening anytime before next November because anyways the monsoon will be hitting us soon. So yeah,
I think COVID is the best
we'll
time
have to
to
be patient.
yeah. COVID is the best time to sit and read about if they are really inclined towards wildlife. I think they can sit and read a lot of
Absolutely.
blogs. They can read blogs. They can read books on wildlife and watch videos also
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There's so much of information right now on internet. If you're really inclined towards wildlife photography, this is your time where you can dedicate, this is, the time when you can dedicate yourself. Go out there, read so much about any wildlife or nature that you want to, and, I would say focus on a particular subject. If it's bird or mammals, whatever you want to read about it. There are a lot of papers out there by scientists. You can download them, read them. There are books out there. Wikipedia is always there. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a good time to do that. Absolutely.
Actually. So I would request all my viewers to keep adding questions. Asha is here. He's here to answer all your questions. If you have any questions, keep texting. We'll answer one at a time, and I'm sure if time permits, we should be able to answer all the questions. If not, I'm sure you can go and read Asha's blog. Asha has been writing a lot of blogs for Decathlon. He has been writing blogs for on his personal account also. So please. Have a look at it. And Akshay,
Guys, I've also
yeah, yeah, please,
one
please go
second,
ahead. Yeah,
just to
yeah,
cut you. Since you mentioned that, I've also put a description in my bio, Sanjeev, so
yeah.
people can go out and read my articles and blogs. I have a lot of blogs on, leopards in the city, also the flamingos that have come to Mumbai. So a lot of people everybody can go out there and read it. It's there out on my profile. You can just see link in the bio.
Asha, any books that you can recommend because everyone's at home and no one can wander outside, and if they want to read about wildlife, what kind of books do you recommend?
Yeah, I just saw that question popping
Yeah,
up
oh, is
some
it
time back
okay?
as
Yeah,
well. I think basically there are for birds, there is a book called Birds of India. I think it's by, I have it here. It's by Bikram Grewal. So you can follow that. All the birders. It has immense knowledge about birds. That's something that I go through on a regular basis because it's not intense. It's basic knowledge which beginners, amateurs, everybody can go through. And the same goes to there's also called a book called Mammals of India, the mammals of Indian subcontinent. You can get them on Amazon anywhere. It's easy to find. I think you can even download a copy online. So these are two books that I would recommend to begin with. It's if it's for mammals and birds. So that would be really helpful to you guys.
yeah, great. So I'm sure you might be feeling, I don't know, how do you feel following your passion? Because anyone who gets to follow their passion is the one who's the happiest in the room. So how do you feel following your passion?
Well, it's a dream come true, Sanjeev. There's nothing better that I could ask for. It helps me connect with nature and wildlife day in, day out. Spending my time out on the field, trust me, it's never a dull day. Every day is a new day. There's so much of excitement, there's so much of thrill, and there's so much of action. There's something or the other always going on. So it always keeps you on toes. So yeah, it's something I always loved, and I think I don't know, I couldn't have asked for more.
So, is there a set of guidelines that you would recommend to become a professional photographer? I mean, anything that you can recommend as a wildlife photographer? What do you think? Any guideline that
Uh,
someone has to follow?
uh, Guidelines, yes, of course. See, make sure you get your pictures right. Know what you want. There's a lot of need of information right now, in the world. It's not that you just click a picture and you'll become a wildlife photographer. That picture has to speak. That picture has to tell a story. So make sure you capture the moments and give a story about it. Right now nobody wants to just look pictures, right? If you go on Instagram, you can just scroll, keep scrolling, there'll be like thousands of pictures that you'll be coming
Yeah.
across. But come up with something, give it a story, give a nice background to your picture in terms of information. If I'm seeing a picture, I would also like to learn about it. So if I'm visually seeing a picture and also learning, so it's a big deal. It's and that's what people and companies are looking for at the moment. Also, if you're getting into research, there are so many species that you can go out, document, study about them, and write about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're wanting to get into professional side of it, I think that's the way and the direction to head. So that's one of something that I could just suggest to you.
Yeah, because we've always seen these Instagram pictures with some really I don't know a caption that is not in sync with the picture, but it's just a random caption. I mean,
Absolutely.
a caption is something. It should be a story that we always look forward to read and go through that. It should define that
Right,
picture
right.
basically. Yeah.
Right. Photography is all about, a picture with a captivating story. If a picture does not tell you a story, then there's no point, capturing a picture. So I always encourage people and my students, whoever I teach, is to make sure to have a good story behind every picture you capture. A story will make even an ordinary picture look beautiful. So, yeah.
So I'm sure you also take people along with you for these tours, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
Yes. So
yes. I also.
uh, how does
Yeah,
that
yeah, go
work?
on,
I
sir.
mean, yeah, how does that work, and how has that experience been? Because I'm sure you share your experiences sitting around a bonfire, and I'm sure it's uh, it's really a beautiful moment for the travelers. Being a traveler, I can understand because it's all about the memories that you make on a journey. So, how is it for you being a guide and explaining stuff to everyone?
Trust me, Sanjeev, I don't know if you'll believe me, but the best part about going out on safaris and these tours, even with my students or my friends or whatever, the best time is when you spend at the campfire at the end of the day, when you're having your dinner or your drinks. That's the best time because there's so much memories and stories to share and tell and listen to. That's the best part. Yes, I do take a lot of people. I organize tours all over Central and North India, also to East Africa, Masai Mara, Serengeti.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason for that is I love teaching photography more than clicking pictures. So, and it gives me immense pleasure, teaching these newcomers and wildlife enthusiasts and sharing my information, sharing my expertise, and making them into a better photographer. So that's
Uh,
that's that's the other side of me that very few people know about.
so, Asha, as humans, we have been taking nature for granted. And I'm sure it is giving us back. So, what would you suggest or advise all those who are going to these places that you have recommended today and who have been going or who are planning to go? What do you recommend how they should behave in nature? I think I'm sure we have to coexist. There is no choice. But what is your recommendation here to all our viewers?
Yes, Sanjeev, this is a very important question that you brought up, and I'm
Yeah,
glad you asked this. See, when we are out there, you need to understand that we are in their homes. We are visiting them. So we need to, understand where we are and obey the rules of nature and wildlife. We can't go out there and do what we do on a regular basis. And it pains me to see all these people when they're
yeah,
out there doing stupid things. I shouldn't say that, but yes. But again, we need to be in control. First and foremost, let we shouldn't litter around. I see a lot of people littering plastics, bottles, wrappers around wildlife parks. Absolutely, please. My sincere request is don't do that. That's not what we are supposed to do. Let's keep it clean. The other thing would be a lot of people become very excited, which is very normal when you see a big cat or an animal that you love, and you become excited and you may start making noises. That should absolutely stop. That should not. That should not happen. It happens a lot in India. If you go Africa, it's very controlled because the naturalists and the guides there themselves are so responsible and they take care of it. It's
yeah.
not that here they don't, but it's our mentality that we don't listen to other people. So I think yeah, there's two things. We should just try and be calm, composed, enjoy watching, take pictures, do what you're there to do, and get back. Don't litter, and yeah, and
All
stay in
right.
your limits, please. Don't get too over ambitious and go out for that one amazing picture. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Stay in your limits. Listen to your guides, naturalists, and yeah, I think everything else should fall in place.
All right, so we have finally come to the end of our session. Thank you, Aashay, for joining us. And to our viewers, all the questions which have not been answered, Aashay will be for sure writing a blog on it, and you can refer to the blog on his Instagram handle. The link will be shared, and it will be also available on our website, decathlon.in. Please go and explore. Don't get disheartened that your questions were not answered. It will be covered in a blog, so stay tuned. And thank you, Aashay, for your time. And I would request everyone to please stay indoors, stay safe, have a nice time.
Th- Thank you, Sanjeet, and I would like to thank everybody. And also, I'm sorry I couldn't take too many questions from you guys. We are running short on time. But yes, we have noted down all your questions. Thanks to Sanjeet, and I'll make sure I personally answer to all you guys uh, with all your relevant answers. If you have any queries, please make sure you shoot a message directly to me. I'll be more than happy to answer all you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, all the viewers. Thank you, Asha, once again. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Stay safe, guys. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.